Welcome back to Editors Forum, and it's being heated in the studio. Now, the Bank of Ghana revealed this week that a special purpose vehicle, the Ghana Amalgamated Trust, has been created to support some struggling banks, and said the Ghana Amalgamated Trust is an arrangement of private pension funds to inject 2 billion Ghana cedis into supporting solvent and well-run indigenous banks, which were otherwise having difficulties meeting the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis. But some pension contributors are apprehensive over the move as they are uncertain about how it is going to succeed. Listen to Angel Kabono.
As we speak, there is no document that is being presented to the workers that we can peruse as the basis for discussion that the pension funds are going to be taken to Ghana Amalgamated Trust. There are rules and regulations as to how pension funds are supposed to be dispensed with. And we do not have any arrangement with any organization called Ghana Amalgamated Trust, nor do we have any document, official document from government, that the unions or the various trusts will study to agree or disagree. So the impression that is being created in the public domain as if a decision is being taken is absolutely very, very erroneous. Secondly, how do we put people's future and pension money in the hand of an organization that is now going to be formed? An amalgamation of failed institutions brought together, institutions that we have even lodged our money with. Some of these institutions we have invested our monies with, and they are not even able to account for the monies that we have invested with them. They've not been able to prove to us that they've been able to prudently manage these accounts. How do we bring these organizations together to come and handle our pension funds, give them more money?
So I'm still here in the studio with Fortune Alimi, who's executive editor for Daily Guide, and also Richard Abbey, who is online editor for Business and Financial Times. And we're still talking about financial issues and all the issues that made headlines during the week. This is Angel Kabono, and he's the president of NAGRAT, and he speaks for so many other people. We see that, and those are his words, he says, we see that the Ghana Amalgamated Trust is just a conduit institution being established by government to channel workers' pension funds to financial institutions against the will of workers. As we speak, there's no single document that has been placed before the owners of the fund. The money does not belong to government. And I'm not sure they're just being petty over this. Richard?
Well, I think that for me, I have a serious difficulty because, one, even before we got here, the Minister of Finance had already told us that there will be this kind of arrangement where well-governed, solvent, indigenous banks, which are not able to meet the minimum capital requirement, would be supported in some form. And now, let me marry that to what the governor said when he announced this. You know, he mentioned that an advisor had been appointed for NIB. And mind you, NIB, if we look at the NIB which has been placed under GATT, we are looking at NIB being solvent, well-run, and well-governed local bank. But here's the case that the same NIB, the BOG has appointed an advisor in the BOG's own words to improve on the affairs of NIB. So I'm trying to understand. So how come you are saying that the bank is well run and now you've appointed an advisor to improve on the affairs? So for me, I think Angel Kabono may have stretched the argument a bit, but there are truths in what he said. These are people's pensions, the money they are going to rely on in future. 2 billion is a lot of money. And if you are going to, government should not have approached the whole thing. I don't know the sort of engagement or stakeholder engagement they have had with, but for NAGRA to come and the president of NAGRA to say what they are saying means that they were not consulted and all those things. So I don't know the sort of stakeholder engagement government may have done, but we should.
But if you listen to Angel Carbono, he says they've not been consulted.
That's what I'm saying. That so government should not have approached this as if the monies belongs to government. It shouldn't have done. The government shouldn't have.
But already some financial experts are raising the red flag that the Ghana Amalgamated Trust may not be able to raise that kind of money to support the local banks. I mean, the reason why it's being formed and the reason why they're channeling this huge amount of the pensioners' money.
You see, it's a question of when we get there, we'll cross. The Bank of Ghana clearly.
Are we still living that? We've seen the banking crisis. Should we still go by this timetable?
For me, the difficulty I want to have is, look, we are looking at people who have already established their banks and pension funds are coming in. I'm looking at what sort of management are we looking at? Is it that they're coming to take over? There's so many knots and bits and pieces here we need to put together to know what this form will take. And as like the president in the Carbon said, there's no document for which people can analyze and make meaningful judgment on what is going to happen. But the earlier red flags that we have seen is the fact that stakeholder engagement was poor, because government probably spearheaded this and didn't consult all the right people they should have consulted, and you're having a difficulty even before the funds are raised. So it seems the whole thing has begun on the wrong foot. Let's see how government or the GAT is able to navigate these challenges. Clearly, we need to navigate these challenges, else it will be a difficult situation, because we are talking about 5 local banks. Already 7 have gone down, and we can't afford the other 5 to go down.
If they have to go,
9.
If they have to go for the system to be sanitized, they must go.
No, but I'm like I'm saying, I'm just saying that, look, for me, I would have want the government and the Bank of Ghana to have come up with a tier system. So it's not all the banks that need to have the 400 million minimum capital requirement. Look, if they are solvent and they are well run and they don't have capital issues, they may not need to have 400 million capital requirement, because maybe they may be doing the kind of business which makes them profitable, but they are not able to raise 400 million.
But the one will ask that why did we allow the others to go down? Why are we protecting these
others
ones?
went down on different issues and different challenges, and we should not confuse those who had liquidity problems with those who are not able to raise capital.
Okay.
Your inability,
these ones are at least solvent banks,
yes,
but they need some push.
Your inability to raise capital doesn't mean you are insolvent.
Okay.
If you are insolvent, it's a different ballgame altogether. Maybe you're able to, stay afloat and do business and all that, but you're not able to raise a 400 million capital requirement. That's a different ballgame. And then we have those who are making losses.
Who are making losses. Do they have a genuine concern?
I think we need to get more information on the GAT.
Yeah.
Because in the pension scheme, you have 3 tiers.
Yeah.
The compulsory one, which is NEAT.
Yeah.
The second tier, which is also compulsory, and the third tier. So which of these tiers are they using for the GAT? We need to find out, because we know the tier 1 is NEAT compulsorily. Tier 2 is also compulsory, which you give to fund managers.
Okay.
So which of this money we are taking? Is it the tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3?
Okay.
Because if you are taking the tier 2 is being managed in conjunction with my approval.
Okay.
If I have not approved, so if you are taking money from a fund manager, which I have selected, you need to inform me.
Yes.
The fund manager, you have to inform me.
Yeah.
And mind you, what they are doing, is it equity? Are they taking stake in the banks? Or you are going to pay interest? Because whatever the case, the pension fund must attract, you need to invest it to attract interest in order to disburse it.
Right.
So if you are investing it in these so-called solvent banks, but inadequate capital, if you are retooling them, are you taking stake? Or is a pension fund taking stake in those banks? Or is it a case of you give me profit or interest on what you've taken? At what percent?
Okay.
We need to factor all this.
Yeah.
So I think we need more information. The information on this GAT is inadequate. That is why it's causing the confusion.
That's what is. I think that Bank of Ghana should provide us.
The
with
Bank
more
of Ghana is
information
saying that they are not in charge of the GAT.
that. So
the Ministry of Finance should come out with this GAT. Because
no, but You know, we had a problem with the source of funding of the Heritage Bank.
Yeah.
And now we should also be looking at some of these modalities. So if GAT is going to get monies and people are going to raise all this, I think the Bank of Ghana should also be interested, I mean, in how these banks are financed. And if there are challenges, we should also be made aware. The fact that they've accepted that these 5 banks are going to be capitalized from GAT should not end there. I think there should be some other responsibility to know how these funds are going to be raised. Assuming all the various groups stand up and say, look, you're not going to agree, and this thing goes down, what are we going to do to the 5 banks? I think this is a complex discussion or conversation that
and
everybody
should bring in the people
everybody
on
needs
board,
to
because it's my money.
come to the table.
So you need to make me understand what you're using my money for, and I need to give you the go-ahead to be able to use my money. I think it's a fair and genuine cause. And so
It's shrouded in a bit secrecy.
Yeah.
exactly.
They should lift the veil for the public to know what GAT
Exactly
is all
what's
about.
going on. Yeah.
Is
But
there
talking
another
about money,
scheme to raise money for pensioners, like SNIT, or what? If you are investing money in these banks, as I said, are you taking stake in these banks, or you are taking interest? You are investing, like taking interest, or you are lending the money to them?
Yeah.
So we need to explain some of these gray areas to assuage the what do you call it, the agitating public.
Exactly the point. Well, I think that the point has been made, shredded in a bit of secrecy. So if the finance ministry comes out to explain to the people and also get them involved, I think we'll cross this bridge. Well, let's veer into another area that has gotten so many people talking. A research by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, which has shown that President Akufo-Addo will beat former President Mahama hands down should elections be held today.
Elections were held today, and the other asking which candidate they would vote for if elections were held today. So we have the 2 major parties, as you can see on the table, the NPP, New Patriotic Party, the National Democratic Congress. You have 48.9% of our respondents saying that they would vote for the NPP were elections to be held today. 32.2% said they would vote for the NDC, National Democratic Congress, were elections to be held today. 3.3% for the PPP, Progressive People's Party. 1.7% for the Convention People's Party. 0.4% for the People's National Congress. And 0.2% for the what is it called? National Democratic Party, NDP. Now to the candidates, presidential candidates. The question was asked, if elections were held today, which candidates would you vote for? And these were the 3 top candidates. So for Nana Addo, 49.6% of respondents said they would vote for him, 33.3% for John Mahama, and 7.3% for Kwesi Ndu. These responses indicate simply and unsurprisingly that the 2 major parties are still the most preferred among voters. And secondly, that there might be another contest between President Akufo-Addo and former President Mahama come the 2020 presidential elections.
So that's ahead of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana announcing the findings of the research. But it also made the point that there may be a runoff because it will be, Mahama will push Akufo-Addo to a second round because he cannot or he may not be able to cross the 50% mark. What's your take on this, Fortune?
It's early day yet. We still have about 2 years to the main election, and let's see what we pan out. But to me, at least, it's a wake-up call for all the political parties, I wouldn't want to rule anybody out, but it's early days yet. Meaning that you have 2 years to go. And if at this point the poll result is showing this, it's for them to use it to work hard and better where they are getting it wrong, and so that at the end of the day, whoever can run through first round, if it happens that we're going to go second round, fair enough. It's not first time you're going for second round. We had it about 2 times. So fair enough. But to me, it's early days.
Early days. But one interesting thing that surprised me about this research is the fact that the government's flagship program, the free SHS, which is most fiercely pushed policy, people had issues with a double track system. Is the #1 disliked policy of government. At least that's what the research found.
But at least, let me, on the issue of the presidential aspirant, let me just conclude on that. I was also wondering with the maybe dislike or with agitation among the public that maybe the current government is not doing well. If the gap is just 4% from the 53% that the government, the NPP had in 2016, and the former president's party, NDC has dropped over 10%. I think it's a bit concerned because I was expecting NDC to push up rather than going down because they are the alternative government. So if NPP can only drop 4% and you are dropping over 10%, we need to also get worried. So they need to sit up so that they don't follow the crowd that, oh, we are winning, we are doing that, we've seen it before. Anyway, on the flagship program, I think the double track was new. It's like a surprise. We just woke up one day and government said we are going double track.
The free SHS was a surprise too.
The free SHS, at least, we were told that this would be our policy. So we were expecting it. Even though we were not expecting it at the time it came. Maybe, but it's in fulfillment of a campaign promise that we are going free SHS, we are doing it and we are rolling it out. But double track, nobody talked about double track. But looking at the figures, what do? Do you cramp all of them? Because the first year of the free SHS, we know what happened. We saw pictures flying all over the place. But in this case, is it chicken and egg situation? The chicken first or the egg first? Where do you stand for? Do you wait to put in place all the infrastructure for the next 10 years before you roll out the free SHS? Or you need to do a kind of re-engineering, re-engineering to absorb more students? Because tell me, every developed country in this world has done it through education. Talk of the Americas, the Europeans, the Asians, the Koreans, everywhere. It's through education. Go to Malaysia. Malaysia and Ghana had independence the same year, 1957. Ghana had it March. Malaysia had it in August, 1957. Malaysia education is free from primary to kindergarten to university. So why we have to start from somewhere? If we are serious about our development, you can't wait. And I'm happy that the former president has now realized that education, he supports the free SHS. Because he initially said he was going to scrap it and review it before setting out timetable to reintroduce it. But now
I didn't hear about the scrapping. I heard about the review.
The review that he will set a time. If you are setting a timetable to reintroduce it, what are you going to do? You are scrapping it, obviously.
Richard, what I take out from this research is that NDC and MPP are still the two major political parties that Ghanaians want, and so whether we like it or not, come 2020, those are the two parties that are going to be running along each other. The second disliked policy in this study is the government's Galamsey policy, government's fight against Galamsey. Many people thought that government started with a very, the energy was so much when government started with this policy, but along the line, people think that the energy is dropping and people are not happy. I guess that's why we're having this in this research.
Well, I think that what people may construe for the energy dropping probably will be lack of media focus or attention, because Galamsey, as we know, normally takes place in the bush, in the darkness, and all those things. And at a point, we had a situation where almost every media house or every newspaper had a bit on Galamsey or whatever it is, or small-scale mining, whatever it is. And as time went on, this coverage went down. So people may think that Galamsey, the fight went down. But what I have seen, there are some key rivers in this country, and some of them even come to the cities like Sekondi, thereabouts. And those days, at the peak of Galamsey, those rivers, the color was, I mean, when you check the color, you could see this is a heavily polluted river.
Yes.
But somehow, some of these rivers, people are sending pictures of how some of these rivers are
I think one of the things that people were not happy about is the Aishawan, the Galamsey queen, who was deported, who was not made to face the rigors of the law after all that she did. It's one of the things that got people angry. I'm sure it's one of the things that people are not happy about.
But the question is, when was the research carried out?
When was the research?
Aisha was just reported a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So we need to find out when the research was.
If this was also part of the...
I think the Galamsey, the moratorium placed on Galamsey was too long. Because what do you call it? The small-scale mining, let's don't call it Galamsey. Let's say government is taking off Galamsey because Galamsey is illegal. The small-scale mining, people get their livelihood from there. And if it took government too long to lift the ban, obviously,
people will be dissatisfied.
They will be dissatisfied because the source of income have been cut off completely. Especially at the villages. People engage to do small-scale mining. And if the money was no longer flowing, obviously, because some of us thought that the Galamsey was a major program of the government for trying to clean our water bodies, for trying to sanitize our environment. I thought it was a good, but when at the ground there and people are complaining, I think the government should take a second look at it.
One other thing the research revealed was the job creation. People were so much unhappy about this government when it comes to job creation. And my point is, we thought NAPCO came in, it should compensate.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. NAPCO cannot take a place of permanent job.
Okay.
It can only be a stopgap. It's a stopgap measure to alleviate those who are already in there. Because even though one may think it's not insignificant, but 700 can do a lot for an unemployed soul. So
government needs to do more when it comes to job creation.
But you see, the problem we've always had in this country is that we don't need government to create jobs. We need government to create the environment where people can create their own jobs.
Do we have that environment?
That's why we vote for all the government. You see, people come into the country with capital, and when they come to invest, they are looking at your electricity, they are looking at your currency performance, they are looking at so many other things. And if you make it very easy, we are going to have to beat competition from Cote d'Ivoire, even Nigeria, Togo, or Burkina Faso, and all our neighboring countries. So when people bring their money, they should have an environment where they can invest and employ people. That's how come government is pushing this one district, one factory thing. And it's not like government wants to establish one factory in every district, but they want to create an environment where people can come and establish this factory. And these factories, I think it's something we need to do. We should move away from this thing of government has to create jobs.
Government can't create jobs for all of us. It just needs to give us an enabling environment.
Exactly.
I think you hit it right there. But whether that environment has been created, we're looking forward to seeing government do that. One last topic I want us to look at, I'm running out of time, we'll just brush it through, is the fact that the minority in parliament are warning that electricity tariffs will go up because they're seeing ECGs that's hitting 2 billion. Let's listen to, I think we can take Mutawakilo. He's the chairman of the Mines and Energy Commission. He gave that warning during the week. But fortunately, are we ready to pay new tariffs?
I don't think the minority are not the people who should tell us. Meaning that when they were signing the agreement with Millennium MCC, you see that they are right that they should privatize ECG.
Okay.
I have been complaining right from the one when that idea was mooted. You are going for $400 and something million, and you are selling an entity with asset value of over $6 billion. You are giving it out just like that for 6 billion assets. Why do we need that? Just recapitalize ECG and let the money. If the managers are not doing well, fire them, bring another person, and the person will carry it on. Now you've sold our whole, not selling, okay, you lease our electricity company,
national security asset,
to private entity.
They said they'll manage it better.
Well,
no, you see,
so why are you complaining about increments?
Aisha,
but people are saying that it's not even the case. We shouldn't be thinking about that now.
No, but the PURC has come out to say that one is not possible because they have to regulate.
They have to regulate.
The PURC is there to regulate. But what I'm saying is that the minority should, because when they were going, they should know that if a private investor comes in, the person obviously will increase tariff. But the PURC is there as a safety net to guide us.
To guide us. Richard, do you want to
well,
make a point?
I was saying that the politicians obviously do not trust themselves. Some of the challenges with ECG were more than obvious. We know where the challenges were coming from. But politicians, as always, will always want to settle for the low-hanging fruit. Like, why would we have a situation where some of the key or most of the debt of ECG, apart from, let's say, system losses and transmission losses, are unpaid bills from some of these MMDAs or MDAs or whatever they call themselves. So if we really wanted to make ECG work, our politicians know how to go about it. You don't need anybody from anywhere to come and tell you that ECG should be managed or privatized before they can work. If we want to make ECG work, we know we have to capitalize ECG. We know government has to pay its debt. And funny enough, now that we are going to privatize ECG, the debt owed by government will be paid,
of course,
to the private company. So why couldn't government pay all these monies to the indigenous managers? And you want someone to come and privatize before you pay to them?
Before you pay to them.
I mean,
don't forget, we've gone that route before. When Ghana Water was privatized, was given to Aquavitens.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what happened?
We came back.
We came back.
So that's food for thought, and that's how we wrap up Editors Forum this evening. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. I've been doing this with Richard Abbey, who is an online editor with Business and Financial Times, and Fortune Alimi is executive editor with the Daily Guide. Many thanks, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of our programs.